All right.
Hello, hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Weekly Motivations, the podcast. I'm your host, Mawusi Ragland, and I have with us our special guest tonight, Juan Terrazas. So let's welcome Juan. How are you doing today, Juan? Welcome.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you on. It's been a long time. I am so happy that we're back for your second interview. The first one did not go through, so we are back again. So thank you so much, Juan, for being here today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So you're going to share your story with us tonight. And
Yeah,
your message is embracing adversity.
correct. Yeah.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, my story, I come from an immigrant background, and I was actually born in Mexico. My parents migrated to the States when I was 5 years old. My dad actually came first a few months before he sent for us, and we reunited together again February 96. And so just growing up in the States, that's all I knew growing up. And I I would say my life was really radically changed by the time I was a freshman in high school because my dad got put in jail and then he got deported. And then my mom ended up having to go back to Mexico after that. So I was 14 years old, and at that age, I was without my parents and then just basically trying to figure out life, getting kicked out not too long after that by my cousin's boyfriend and where I was left to who I was left with, and just basically trying to figure out life, where my next meal was going to come from, trying to figure out where I was going to lay my head, who would take me in. But through all this, I just kept going to school because I believed that that was going to help me get by. And I mean, by God's grace, I mean, I'm connected with so many people, and people saw that I was doing my best, and they just came alongside me, assisted me, and I mean, I got the help that I needed. And I mean, I first wanted in my family to graduate high school, to graduate with a college degree, and I, yeah, I'm just amazed to be where I am today, and I don't have to house hop like I used to, you know. So that's basically
Yes.
in a nutshell.
That was very difficult. Your father getting deported, and then soon after, your mother, and you didn't have anyone here with you. Where were you at this time when this all
I
took place?
Well, I was in Dallas, yeah, Dallas, Texas. That every all of that happened during that time there.
Yes, and you were at the age of 14. What does embracing adversity mean to you personally, given your experiences?
Embracing adversity, I'm sure you've probably heard this saying that you face the music. That's something that I thought about quite a bit growing up, face the music, and that that phrase usually means that you have to go and counter whatever you're going through instead of running away from it. So as I got older, I just kept thinking about my situation, what I went through, and I realized that instead of running away from circumstances, I had to run towards them and figure out how to be creative and overcoming situations. So embracing adversity is more of going towards your struggles and finding ways to overcome those problems. And it's not just lifting the rug and then just sweeping everything under there and then hoping that things go away, but it's going head on.
Yes, that is the truth. It's powerful. That's deep. And you were such a young, you were a teenager. You were 14, going and experiencing all of this. And I know that you couldn't quite understand going through it, but looking back, you can understand it now. Can you walk us through the moment that your father was deported and how it changed your life at the age of 14?
Yeah, I remember coming home from school one day, which is actually interesting because a couple of about a month or so before my dad actually went to jail, I got home from school and I saw my family in the living room, and my cousin's boyfriend was there, and as I walked in, they were like, "Hey, your dad just got put in jail." And I was like, "Man, y'all playing with me." And I looked at my sister, and right away she was smiling, and it was a joke then. But fast forward to about a month later, same situation, same scenario. I walk into the apartment, and I hear the same words, "Hey, your dad just got put in jail by my cousin's boyfriend." And this time I looked at my sister because I knew that if I saw her, then it would either be true or not. But this time, instead of a smile, I saw her crying, and I was like, "Man, this can't be real." And so little by little, we try to figure out how we were able to raise the funds to bail him out, but I mean, we couldn't. We didn't have the money to do that. He ends up getting sent back, and I mean, I don't even know what to think. I remember the last time I saw him in Dallas, my mom took me and my sister to go see him in jail, and I just remember seeing him in an orange jumpsuit, and my dad telling me, "Hey, right now you're the man of the house, so you got to take care of the family." And and that weight to be put on a 14-year-old, it's heavy. But I mean, that didn't even last that long because not too long after that's when my mom ended up having to go back herself. And so much for being the man of the house, right? And I had to find ways to take care of myself and just get by.
Oh, that's heavy. You faced homelessness in 2005. How did you navigate that challenging time at just at a teen you were a teenager when this all took place. How did
Yeah,
you
I when when my cousin's boyfriend kicked me out, I remember just walking down this back alleyway and just thinking and praying. I'm like, God, I'm 15 years old. I just got kicked out. Where am I supposed to go? And at that moment, all I could think about was going to my friend's house, who I would constantly spend time with. And I told his mom, I was like, "Hey, this is the situation. This is what's going on." And right away, she took me in there. Uh, but it was hard for me to last anywhere for a long time, only because I didn't want to overstay my welcome, and I didn't want to feel like I was a burden. So I stayed there for a month, and then there was a couple church ministries that I used to go to that taught me a lot about God and helped me grow my faith. And one of them, Dallas Metro, had their own apartment building, so I was able to stay at their apartments for a couple times throughout my 4 years in high school. But I was constantly house hopping. I would go to a friend's house here for a week. I would be somewhere else for a month, maybe one day here. But I was just constantly going from place to place, just bouncing around. Just basically, I was in survival mode. I can
yes,
say that.
yes, you were. What were some of the feelings that you were going through when you had to experience that?
I just say growing up like that, you have to, in a way, you kind of have to toughen up right away. And as much as you may want somebody to walk alongside you and to hold your hand during that time, and then it's not always possible. So I mean, I've had so many feelings. I felt abandoned. I felt depressed. I felt rejected. I felt unwanted. And even at moments when I lived with family who were family, uncle and aunt, it wasn't always, I didn't always feel like I was 100% welcome.
Yes.
So I would last there maybe a couple of months and I would end up moving out because it wasn't like my immediate family.
Right.
So it's just a lot of emotions that I had to deal with and go through that I had to overcome.
Wow. Thanks, Juan. Your story is very important because a lot of people are going through that right now as we speak. So I hope that this message helps a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Growing up undocumented comes with its difficult part It comes with its own set of struggles, pardon me. What was the most difficult part of that experience for you?
The most difficult part is being on my own, just trying to figure out how to get by. And when I say on my own, eventually I met people along my path that walked with me and helped me out. But if I didn't put myself in those situations, if I didn't put myself in places where people could see me, I don't think anybody would have gone looking for me and saying, "Hey, let me help you out." So in a way, I was just feeling like I was on my own trying to navigate through life. I had to grow up quicker than most people, and I had to push myself further than anybody could push me. And I had to learn how to take responsibility for myself. I remember thinking to myself as a 14-year-old that if I continue acting up in school and making decisions that it's going to affect my future, then I'm probably not going to have a future.
My goodness. Yes. And you were able to make it. Tell us how you were able to make it to where you are today. How did the church play a pivotal role in your life during those years?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned one of the church ministries just a while ago, Dallas Metro, but I credit Dallas Metro Ministries and Youth with the Mission, uh, also known as YWAM. Between those two, I was going back and forth as a teenager. They used to pick us up from our neighborhood and take us to their facilities, and they just about God, and they through them I learned what it was like to hope and to believe in something so much more. And
Yes.
that's what helped me believe that there was a future for me. I had a hope and a future. And I didn't have to give into my situation that I can do so much more. And I mean, nobody had to tell me, hey, you got to do your homework, you got to go to school, you got to do this. But because I had positive influences in my life by going to these ministries, they gave me a vision and belief that, man, somebody cares about me, and that was enough. And it made me just want to continue going and knowing that I did have somebody eventually to walk by me.
Wow. Were there specific people or moments that made that impact, that last so long, that lasting impact?
Yeah, I always wish I had someone specific to that I can mention like
Mention.
one person, but there's been multiple people along the path. I remember there's a man named Konstantin. He was from Ukraine. He used to go to the Youth with the Mission services and he used to pick me up and t sometimes take me to lunch and just talk to me and connect with me. I mean, my youth pastor, Justin Sample, I he I saw him as a father figure type, and also Scott Robson, one of the men from one of the churches I was going to, Trinity Church at that time. I mean, he bought me my first glasses, and I needed glasses for,
Oh,
and that was a game changer. I,
yes.
I mean, I remember when I put the glasses on for the first time, I was like, I can actually see. And so I mean, I can sit here and name so many people. David Funky from the director of YWAM from Youth with the Mission. I mean, he's played a big role in my life. Like I said, I can mention so many people. We'll probably
Wow.
be here all night, but
I know.
those are the people that made a big impact on my life by, yeah. So,
Shout outs to them.
yeah,
But
yeah.
to everyone, because I understand and I truly know. That's why I was like, how should I ask this question? Because I know for sure it's so many of them that have such a lasting impact on your life that it's too many to name them all. It's so
Hmm.
many of them because it takes a lot of people to help others. And so we thank them. We really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, despite the challenges that you faced, You graduated high school.
Mhm.
How did you stay motivated to reach those milestones in your life?
Like I mentioned earlier, I remember thinking right after I was a freshman when my dad got deported. It was my first semester. By the end of my first semester, that first semester, I was acting like I was a clown. I was acting up in class. I mean, the normal teenage stuff. And during the break is when it all happened, the Christmas break. So my dad gets sent back, and then the following semester, I remember just thinking to myself, man, if I keep doing what I'm doing, then I there's gonna be no future for me or my family. And then a couple months later was when my mom ends up having to go back to Mexico, and I just said to myself, either I make a change or I don't. And I just started going to classes, doing my work. I mean, I can't say I was a perfect angel, but I just did have a big change in my heart. And I mean, I remember just thinking to myself that if I can get an education, then this will be the key out of poverty. And so, in spite of house hopping, going from place to place, I made it an effort to continue getting up wherever I lived to go to the same school. I mean, there were moments where the school would call me in and say, "Hey, your this letter bounced back, so we got to make sure that your address is correct." I was like, "Well, let me check. We just moved. Let me check with my mom really quick." When I didn't really have my mom, I didn't really have that address anymore. But I had to figure out how to navigate through that. But I told myself that I just wanted to get an education because that was going to be a key out of poverty. And I also saw a future for myself, and I wanted to be an example for other people as well. Because if I could overcome, then I believe I can open the door for many other people as well. So I was forward thinking in a way, thinking about others.
Yes, you were. Wow. Becoming a US citizen in 2020
Yeah.
was a huge achievement for Juan, for you. How did it feel? How did it feel? And what did it represent for you and your family?
Yeah, that was it was one of the biggest accomplishments. I mean, I've heard people in my situation, well, people told me in the past that it was impossible in my situation, but I always kept on to that hope and belief that I was gonna be able to do it and that God will open up that door. I didn't know how or when, but I mean, eventually I was able to become a resident, and then I was able to apply for citizenship. And I mean, my wife sponsored me, so that made it a big deal. So yeah, it's a long road. I tell you that. There was a lot of hard fights that I had to go through, and I realized that my fights weren't like with physical people, but it was more about the issues and the situations, the circumstances that I was fighting, that I had to find ways to put them down and know that there was more potential in me.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. You're now a co author, husband, a father. How has your past shaped the way you approach life today?
Yeah, what's one of the pastors' name? There's a pastor that has a quote that says, "Where you come from does not determine where you are going."
Yes.
And so, just because you come from a poverty background where nothing, it doesn't mean that that's how you're going to be for the rest of your life.
Mm.
You can start a new normal, and that's where I am today. I look at my situation, I look at where I've been, I look at what I've overcome, knowing that I can create a new life, not only for myself, but for my children. I have two little boys, and my wife and I are actually expecting two little girls pretty soon. And
Congratulations.
so we're going from two to four. But just looking at everything that I've been through, I can see that it's helped prepare me for the present. Right now, I work with an organization called Path United, and I work with youth in mobile home parks. And a large percentage of the youth that I work with come from immigrant backgrounds as well.
Mm.
And you couldn't have told me a long time ago that, hey, what you're going through is what you're going to be using in the future, right? Because it was kind of hard to believe at that moment. But this is what I get to do now. I get to use my life. I get to use my experience to invest and give to others as well, so that they can also believe and have a hope for themselves.
Yeah. So that's what led you to start helping and speaking to young people facing adversity.
Hmm. Yeah, I adversity, it's it's a tool to catapult you into something better. It's not the end. You don't have to give in because you have a difficult situation you're facing. I honestly believe that we are all born with the gifts and abilities that we need to overcome adversity. We don't always have the the wealth, the connections. We don't have the external tools like the bootstraps that you can just pull yourself up from. But I do believe that we do have the creativity that we can develop, the problem solving skills. We can be adaptable, we can persevere. So all those things are just who you are, and those are a part of who you are. You are born with those things and you can develop those. And then eventually you can make those connections and get the wealth that you need to get the resources. But yeah, I mean, I have that passion, I have that heart to be able to teach the young people and let them know that what you're going through is not the end. There's something better ahead of you. And if you continue pressing through, you're going to be able to see it. But you will never know if you stop today.
That's right. Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. What message do you have to share with young people who are going through this difficult journey of their own?
Yeah, for anyone that's maybe experiencing something similar as me, I just say keep going. Sometimes I've heard somebody say that it's not if you have a why big enough, then the how doesn't matter
Yes. That's by
because
Nietzsche.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
if you have you know why you keep going. Sometimes you don't know how you're gonna get there, but just keep going because something eventually has to give. I came to the point where I was like, man, either I give or something has to give. And I said, I'm not gonna give up. I'm just gonna keep going. And that's one message I would say is just keep going because eventually that you will come across something. You will meet somebody that can open the door. You will find an opportunity that will get you to a new place. You will eventually discover an ability within you that you didn't know you had. And like something like Les Brown likes to say is that uh, one of his things is if you fall on your back, then if you can look up, get up. So
If you can look up, you can get up.
yeah, if you can look up, you
Absolutely.
can get up.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the truth. And your advice to people that are facing challenges right now, what would be your advice to them? That are people that are facing overwhelming challenges right now. What would be your advice to them?
For people facing overwhelming challenges, it's hard to make it on your own. If you can find a group of people or even just a couple of people that you can lean on, that you can walk with, that makes a world of a difference. Because like I said, yeah, I made it on my own, but eventually I made those connections. I learned how to network at a young age, to build relationships, to invest in relationships. And those relationships were beneficial to me, but also I was able to be a benefit to them as well. So if if you're having difficult situations, something that you're facing, you don't want to do it on your own. You want to be able to find that network of people that you can lean on, that you can talk to. I got people that I can call now. I live in Atlanta, Georgia now, but I can call people in Dallas and say, hey, I need prayer for this. I need to talk about this.
And you have a community.
Hmm.
You have a
Yeah,
very positive community, the Les Brown Prodigy. You have all kind of communities that you're working with, and you just continue to network and build and be with positive people that
yeah.
want to see you do well.
I was talking to one of my teenagers earlier today, and because he was applying for a job, and I mentioned that I was like, oh, I know this person, I know that person. He's like, man, you know everybody. I'm like, well, I'm putting myself out there. That's the only way you actually get to know people is by putting yourself out there.
That's the only way that you're going to get to know people is by putting yourself out there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really
Sometimes,
good.
yeah, sometimes it could be painful, but I'd rather take the risk than to not than to just stay still. I mean, you can't move a parked car.
That's right. Looking ahead, what's next for you in your journey of it of inspiring and helping others?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I just have a dream of impacting students, being able to get into schools, empowering them, sharing this message with them, and and just giving them the practical tools to be able to eventually see themselves become the leaders that they need to be in their communities. Because students are honestly going to be our next leaders in the world. They're going to be our next educators. They're going to be our next political leaders. They're going to be our next uh, people who are in the workforce. They're going to be driving the driving force for the economy. So investing in them now so that they so that we can have a better future because of that. So I just have that passion. I'm working on a business plan so I can be able to start my a business to be able to do that. So I'm working on things in the background, and I got ideas for another book. I mean, I'm always just full of things that I'm thinking about, even with music, just thinking about writing some more songs as well. So got quite a bit of things that I need to hop on.
Yay! How exciting. And you're going to do all of those things. I know you will. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful for everything that you're doing in this world and you have overcame so much. I am so proud of you and I know for sure that you're proud of you and I just want you to know that you are absolutely amazing. You have greatness in you and don't you ever forget it. Will you
Appreciate that.
share will you share with us your information so that people can reach out to you? And then we'll go ahead and say see you later.
Yeah, so you guys can email me at hello@juanterrazas.com. That's hello at JUANTERRAZAS.com. That's my email. And I mean, you can also find me on Instagram at the real Juan T, TheJuanT, the real Juan T, and that's also on TikTok. Yeah, that's on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. So, Juan, I am super excited for you and your wife and the kids. You're having twins. Congratulations.
Yeah,
And great things are on its way. Don't be nervous. You've got
yeah. I
this.
appreciate you, Wu. Thanks so much for
Oh, you're so
yeah,
welcome.
yeah. We're surrounded by a good community. That's the thing.
Yes, you have a very good community. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll be in touch with you
Well,
again. We'll do a follow up with you, find out how
yeah,
life's treating you and what new books are out and what's going on. We'll find
yeah.
out.
I definitely would love to do that. To come back again. Yeah.
Yes, please
Awesome.
do.
Appreciate you, Wu. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. Have a good
Talk
night.
to you later.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. My name is Mawusi Ragland, your host. And this message is brought to you by the School of Hard Knocks Life Coaching LLC. Thank you. Enjoy. Please follow. Enjoy.